on, please mute. Yes, thank you. So, okay. Note that this event will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. Hello everyone, and welcome to our Huawei Student Developers Tech Talk. My name is Teemu, and I will be your host this evening. Today's topic is the foundations of Metaverse, and we've got some exciting things to share with you. And I will tell you about the Huawei Student Developers Program first. So, the HSD is a global program open to undergraduate and postgraduate students with an interest in growing as developers. HSD offers students the opportunity to expand their scope of knowledge in a dynamic peer-to-peer learning environment through enriching training courses and activities. Connection, learning, and growth. Connection is the power of joining the Huawei Student Developers. You can meet with the other student developers, will always learn new skills and get more knowledge and improve your technical capabilities to fast track your career. The project team works with HSD ambassadors who are the leaders of the community and leads more students to explore technologies and grow together. HSD members are the fundamental part of HSD communities and are recruited by the ambassadors. Members may also participate in organizing HSD activities. Members that excel in the program have the chance to become an HSD ambassador the following year. HSD ambassador is a social and communicative and able to plan and organize activities. HSD ambassador starts the HSD community with university students, host events, do networking, and organize HSD activities. Benefits: professional growth through community management and technical knowledge, access a global network of student leaders, do coaching in tech career, and of course, get the HSD ambassador certificate. Supports for HSD ambassador: planning and organizing events, providing content, promoting local industry partner speakers, connecting with global HSD communities networks, and of course, tech support. Activities: introduction to mobile development, coaching students on career in technology sectors, startup accelerator program with guidance on setting up a tech business, how to win hackathons. We planned for 2 big Huawei hackathons, holistic app experience, create app health via sustainability development goals, tech talks like this, and workshops and contests. So you can apply for this QR code and you can find the links from the chat box. People will link it in the chat box and you can join today. While you are joining and searching about this, I will tell about today's topic. We are going to covering a few topics today. We are going to be introducing the latest Huawei operating system and talking with Giovanni Laguidara, one of our Huawei developer advocates and software engineer, about how machine learning can take your apps to the next level. Before I hand over, if you have any questions, please write them in the comment box and we'll try to answer them all at the end. Okay, let me hand over to Giovanni now, and I hope you all enjoy the event. Giovanni, are you here?
Hello, hi everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great.
The stage is yours.
My screen. Yeah, great. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining this HSD. It will be for sure a great way to connect with other people like you, like students and passionate about technologies, and even a great way to learn new stuff about new technologies, but even how to grow in your career. So like if you need to understand what is the best way to write your CV, like already said, or even we will help you also to connect you with engineers and people from the industry. So yeah, let's start with my talk. Let me share my screen. Yes, I think you can share my you can see my screen now. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the first thing is yeah, today I want to talk about the metaverse. You know, it's in all the news nowadays. The metaverse, this word about something new, something technological advanced, but in reality, it was a little. It's I mean, the origin of metaverse is a lot in the past. But yeah, first of all, I want to introduce myself. I'm Giovanni Laquidara. I'm developer advocate in Huawei. And in Huawei, what does it mean, developer advocate? It means that I'm helping the partners to use our technological services, our platform, HMS Core, Harmony OS, and so on, all our services. And even I like to share the knowledge with all the developers that are not belonging to a company, even like the independent developers. So like sharing content throughout tutorials, articles, videos, and so on. So this is like the job of developer advocacy that I'm doing. So a mix between partner engineering and developer advocacy. In the past, I was doing mainly mobile development, and I transitioned in like 5 years ago, even in VR and AR development. And it was a market and the technologies that was already there, but it was starting to be interesting enough to develop something because of the technology, the hardware power, and all the market that was around it. So yeah, first of all, I want to leave you the definition of metaverse. This is from Wikipedia. Okay, so this is like the most common definition of metaverse that it's with us since like 1992. We will see why in 1992. The metaverse is a hypothetical iteration of the internet, so an evolution of the internet, supporting persistent online 3D virtual environments. That means that nowadays we are working with the internet and we are thinking about the internet like a 2D world. You know, we are interacting with the internet by a two-dimensional screen. So it's really something that is flat. With the metaverse, the new internet, it will be a 3D world, a 3D environment that will be also supporting persistence. What does it mean, persistence? This means that whatever things you are doing on this world, on this new internet, on this metaverse, will stay there. So if you like modify some object, it will be modified. It will stay there. So this is a really important concept of the evolution of internet, of the metaverse, the persistent. And in a bit we will see also how it can be supported. And all these metaverse will be supported by hardware that is pretty different from the hardware that we are already used to interact with. Like we already transitioned from the laptop, from the personal computer to the mobile devices. No, nowadays, all the people is using mobile devices to access the internet. We will have another iteration that to access this evolved internet, so the metaverse, we will need other devices. I say 1992. The term metaverse is exactly from 1992. It is come from a sci-fi book, Snow Crash, a book from Neil Stephenson. I have a picture of it in the slide. And in this 1992, this was in this 1992 book, there was the definition of metaverse as a virtual universe. It was like a sphere in which the whatever user connected that access this world, it would create its own 3D virtual space. He could like add something on this virtual space and live inside it, interact also with other users. So this was the first time that we saw the word metaverse in the world. So in a sci-fi book. So this is really interesting. Nowadays, we are hearing a lot about metaverse because a famous company, Facebook, that changed the name into Meta. Actually, that is the first half of the word metaverse, try to define its own vision of the metaverse. And there was an interesting tweet from Neil Stephenson, so the author of this book, that was saying, this. So I'm not related with the Facebook vision of the metaverse. I'm not related with in a business way with them. There was no zero communication between me and Facebook about this. So this was an interesting tweet. And because we need to understand that the definition that now it's belonging to one company is maybe not the same that it was intended before. What is the vision now? The vision now is this, that the metaverse should be based on global connectivity, so the evolution of internet that will be empowered by new connectivity like 5G, so faster connectivity and faster connection that will allow broader data to pass throughout the devices. And it's an evolution that goes from internet to the web. The web is like internet plus a sort of persistent content, that is the website that we are already using, goes through the social network, so that is web, social communication, but even identity. So using a social network is exactly using internet, but being something, so being someone that is really have an identity on it. So like nowadays we are used to with all the social everywhere. And the evolution is metaverse. So social together with virtual worlds, so 3D worlds, like I said before, a sense of presence. So you can actually feel that you are inside an application. It's not like reading a website. During your reading of website or during your experience in a social, you don't feel that you are really there. With the metaverse, you will feel the presence. And even the digital human, so the digital twin, exactly that concept that we will have some digital entity that will represent perfectly us. So this is the main vision of the metaverse now. It is about identity, persistence, and connectivity. And it will be empowered by all these three big topic for this evolution of the metaverse. And another important aspect is that the user will generate the content inside the metaverse, and the user will have an economy inside the metaverse. So that means that you can actually create something in the metaverse, you can sell something, you can buy another things. That will be digital assets that you can use inside the metaverse. Facebook presented this metaverse as a walled garden, if you want to think in this term. So something you can be inside, but there is not really an open ecosystem to interact with. So no other companies maybe you can interact with them, and no, it is not based on open paradigms. The technologies that will allow you to use this metaverse, like I said before, is completely different from the one that you are already used to. So the smartphone, it will be something different, and it's already between us. The entry points to use the metaverse, it will be the entry points will be the VR devices and the AR devices, so virtual reality devices and augmented reality devices. Nowadays, there are a lot of these devices. Huawei is also producing one, Huawei VR glasses, but we have like the Facebook Meta Oculus with the Quest. We have HTC that is developing a lot of devices like Vive and so on. And we have a lot of smaller companies developing this. About augmented reality, there are quite a few. It's still not really, really in the market like the VR glasses. I like to show, I like always to, when I'm talking about virtual reality, I always like to show this picture. Let's say that talking about virtual reality is like dancing about architecture. It's really hard to make understand the virtual reality just by words if you never tried it. This is really hard. So it's like if I want to talk about architecture, but instead I'm dancing. So it's completely a different things. Well, I cannot talk about virtual reality if you really never experienced it. So I suggest you to experience it and have your own idea about it. And experience it also, experience virtual reality with the newest devices, because like we know, technology is really going forward every day. So using even the devices from a couple of years ago could be not the same and could give you a bad impression about what is the technology now. Like I said, there are virtual reality devices, great, but there are also augmented reality devices. The first augmented reality device that we are already used to is the smartphone. Because through the screen of the smartphone, you can actually see virtual objects that are overimposed of the real objects of your reality. So using the camera and the screen of the smartphone. But the vision, there are headsets and glasses that are based on make you experience augmented reality, but they are still not really in the market, like I said before. The vision from this picture this picture is taken from a website from the Snapdragon chipset producer. And the vision is this. So like creating a sort of devices that will overimpose 3D object and new completely virtual object on top of your reality. So using your eyes, but even using other sensor to create this sort of immersion. So even they can use like cameras around the device, using speakers that are using bone conduction to give you sounds, but without distracting you from the reality, and even integrating technology like 5G. So this will be one of the entry points of the metaverse. So we have virtual reality devices and we have augmented reality devices. With augmented reality device, you can experience the metaverse together with your real world. So it will be a sort of mixed experience. The history of virtual reality device, it's really long in the past. It's not something really new. Like one of the first virtual reality device was from 1968. It was the Sword of Damocles, called like this because it was a big device that was hovering upon the head of the user, and it was an experiment, and it was really heavy. And the only thing the user can see throughout it was a cube. So something really in the past and really different from what we are used to use now. And in the past years, there was a lot of interaction about more or less successful about virtual reality device. That's saying that we already had a winter of virtual reality device. Oh, what is a winter? It's a time in which many investors, many companies were thinking that maybe virtual reality has no future. And there was some sort of indifference about using virtual reality as well. Then there was a reborn in the new years, like from 2010, with the first device from Oculus, the first prototype, then acquired by Facebook later, and even iteration trying to use the smartphone as a main source of computational power for virtual reality device, and even to use it as a screen, like we had with Samsung, using the Samsung smartphone as a screen for the virtual reality device. And nowadays we have a lot of devices that are really powerful enough that really allow us in virtual reality to perceive virtual world as if we actually are there, inside there, so with the sense of presence, and even perceiving our hands, for example, and we can use our hands to interact with the 3D object, with the virtual object inside the virtual reality application. The future is something really, this is really far in the future, maybe 5 up to 10 years, but there are already studies about it. It's using BCI, brain-computer interface, to actually connect our person to a virtual world. And there are studies like nowadays, like about trying to understand what the brain is transmitting when we are we are reading, for example. And this study will bring us devices that will be really, really powerful and that will be able to immerse ourselves in a really realistic virtual reality world in the metaverse. But nowadays, we have a lot of devices, and we also have a lot of tools and app stores and frameworks if you want to develop for them. So every device has its own framework stack. You can use their proprietary engine, or you can use like some layer on top of it to develop the 3D worlds. You can use some IDE. It's very difficult to decide which path to take to develop a virtual reality application. These are the most used environments to create virtual world: Unity and Unreal Engine. And this is not a case that these environments are coming from the worlds of game development, as maybe many of you knows, because the development of virtual reality application nowadays is really similar to what is the game development environment. So this tool that were already used for game development are nowadays used for virtual reality and augmented reality development. And they are really powerful, and they are integrated already with the main devices in the market. But if you have to know, in case of Unity, C#, and in case of Unreal Engine, C++. But if you are like a web developer or interested to develop with JavaScript, there is an alternative to it. There is an alternative way to develop virtual reality application. One of these is using what is called the WebXR. So there is a way to develop web application in virtual reality and virtual reality web application. And upon WebXR, you can use A-Frame. This is a framework created by Mozilla, and it's not supported nowadays by Mozilla, but it's supported and maintained by Supermedium, but it's totally open source. So you can check the source code. I left on the slide the URL with the main documentation, and it's using the browser to show the virtual reality application. So you actually can deploy a website, a web app that is 2D, but it's allowed if you visit the URL from your website that you developed with A-Frame, with the Oculus Quest, with the Huawei VR glasses, you are able to enter the virtual reality inside the website. And you will have your hands, you will see the 3D object like you are inside that. So this is like one of the first and one of the most interesting way to make your user experience your website from inside, from like if it's actually living inside the website. This is really interesting. And it's really simple to develop with it, A-Frame, because it's based on HTML and JavaScript. So there are some primitives, like you have to create using HTML, so markup. You can create a scene with the tag a scene. You have some primitives, so you have like box, spheres. You can assign coordinates to display the object in the world. And these coordinates are in meter, so it's really easy even to do some calculation. And you can import 3D model. You can use, you can define colors and so on. So this is like the hello world for A-Frame. And it will be, if you run this, it will display on the screen, and on the headset, you will actually have the 3D world displaying a sphere, a box, a cylinder, a plane, and the sky, color of the sky. So this is really interesting. And you can use JavaScript to extend it. So if you know JavaScript, this is the perfect way to create a 3D world that is totally open. And you don't need to learn another technology, another environment. You can use your IDE that you are using for web development. If you are using JavaScript, you can also use a framework really powerful. It's Babylon.js. This time, this is created by Microsoft and maintained by Microsoft, and it's really powerful, and it's based only on JS, on JavaScript. This is like the way to, in this slide, there is a way to, it shows the way to create the hello world scene from this framework, Babylon.js. So displaying a scene with the camera, that is the point of view of your user, with a light and a sphere. And the interesting part of the event is you can create 3D content that is deployed on a website and can be interacted on the 2D screen of the laptop or the smartphone, but even with the 3 lines of code that are in the bottom part here in this code in the slide, you can enable the XR support, so the virtual reality support. And so in this way, a user that with the headset will visit your website, your web application, will be able to enter inside the web application. So enter in the real term, so enter in the experience with the kind of presence inside that. Before I talk you about persistent, because it's true that the 3D world is really similar to a video game. You can build whatever 3D object, 3D environment you want, but for Metaverse, we talk about persistence. So we need to be sure that whatever is done in the Metaverse, it will be recorded, stored, and will be there from the future to be. So if you are assessing tomorrow your universe, your Metaverse, or virtual world, you will find all the objects that you created, that you buy, that you browse, or that you modify, something like that. And to support the persistence, there are a lot of standards, and one that is the most powerful and open enough is IPFS. It's actually the acronym from Interplanetary File System. This is really looks like really futuristic, but it was called like this because it's a very efficient protocol to handle file and to handle distributed file system. It was actually designed to support an internet maybe while we are on Mars and communicating with the internet on the Earth. So that's the reason why it's called IPFS. It's a really young protocol, and you need to you can think about it like an evolution of the peer-to-peer network together with a distributed file system, and even like the configuration control tools like Git, so like GitHub. So let's think about IPFS like a mix of all the technologies that are behind it. And this IPFS allows the user to create a file, to deploy the file on the IPFS system. And then you will be sure that that object will be there for the times to come. And even the IPFS will support successful modification of the object in the form of transaction. And so even you will have a history of the modification of the object. I call object, but in reality it's a file. This could be a 3D model, it can be a text file, it can be a picture, it can be whatever you want. IPFS is based, like I said, it's a peer-to-peer network. It's based on decentralization. So it's based on nodes, and all the nodes can contain information about the file, the object that are inside this network. And this based, instead of location addressing, nowadays the internet is based, and the current internet is based on location addressing. So what does it mean? Like in the slide, you can see that Aardvark, it's a resource inside Wikipedia. So you have an URL, so you have the location of the object, and then it needs to be addressed by the DNS, and then you know your browser know where to find the object. Using IPFS, you will not have the location, but you will have the hash addressing that content. So this is really different, because using the hash, you are actually pointing the object as it is. And that object, you will be sure that because it's replicated across the peer-to-peer network, you will never have like the 404, like object not found, because you are not pointing in the address, you are pointing actually the actual object. And as long as it's replicated, you will find it. And it's even based, as long as, I mean, we know it's a peer-to-peer network, so it's based on participation. So the weak point of the IPFS is that it has to be based on a lot of peers that use this system. But it's actually being used a lot. If you are curious about the IPFS, it's totally open, and you can find more information about the source code on the GitHub, and there is also the documentation about it. It's a totally open totally open protocol, and it's starting to be used a lot. And maybe this will be the base for the future metaverse considered as open, because you can like put an object there, a 3D model, and then this model can be used everywhere across applications. Another technologies that is really famous for other appliances, but for other things, but it will be used for sure for the metaverse, is the blockchain. You know probably a lot what the blockchain is. This is just a definition. It's like a growing list of records. So yeah, a ledger of records called blocks that are linked together using cryptography, and it cannot be modified. I mean, it's all, if there is a transaction, if there is whatever operation on the blockchain, it will be there. So this is good for the persistence, but even for the economy of it. We know that the blockchain have some pros and cons, and there was an evolution of it. I mean, there was an evolution of the blockchain from the Bitcoin, and the evolution is Ethereum. Ethereum is a decentralized blockchain, and it's open source as well, that is able for the first time to run some software on it, some program. The name of this program is smart contract. So they mean that it's not only used for currencies. The Ethereum is the blockchain, and the currency is the Ether in this way. So there is a currency. But using the blockchain of Ethereum, you can define and develop smart contracts, and you can define your own currencies, and even define your own programs that run on the blockchain. And this created a boom of application, application that run throughout the blockchain, and even a boom of cryptocurrencies. And nowadays we are seeing the boom of NFT. What is an NFT? It's a the definition is a non-fungible token. So it's a token that represents an object that cannot be, that is inside the digital world. It cannot be modified. So it will be univoc. And so in this way, you can sell your object, you can sell your item, you can buy your item. So it's a way to define a unique digital property using the blockchain. And this, together with other technology, can allow the metaverse to have the persistence and even to create the economy that is needed for the environments, for the technologies, and for the virtual world to grow. Like I said, Ethereum and the blockchain of Ethereum, it allows the developers and the user to create smart contract that it's not a different concept. It's another way to say that you can actually run programs across the blockchain. So you can actually develop something that is running across the blockchain virtual machine. And the language is not JavaScript, not C++, it's another language to develop smart contract, and it's called Solidity. It's an object-oriented programming language, high level, it's really inspired from Python, C. So if you are coming from that world, it's easy to develop something. It's easy to develop smart contract application using Solidity. And like I said, it allows you to deploy your, let's call software, let's call smart contract inside and run and deploy it on the blockchain that you want to use. This is like, yeah, the documentation of Solidity is in URL in the slide. And a sample of it is like this. So you have the picture, you can define a contract, or a lot of IDEs that you're already using is supported. So defining a smart contract is a matter of defining some status, some state of the contract. So like a number, an hash code, a sort of a state that can be modified and can be assessed. The way that is modified, you will decide with your development. So let's say that you want to, you can create virtually everything. And the thing is that the output of your procedure of modification in the smart contract will be stored in a blockchain and will be there always. So that's the reason why the transaction will be there. So you can create voting system, you can create new currencies, or even new way to handle NFT and so on. But the most important thing is that it's safe and is handle the persistent pretty well. In the next slide, so this slide, I want to show you the market, the massive market of companies that are around the metaverse. And they are across all the things that you can think about the technology. So the hardware part, the software services part, like from Amazon AWS, from the infrastructure, the producer of the headset like Oculus, but even the gaming companies that are behind it. On the whatever company are already ruling the internet and software as well, they are already in the metaverse, but there are also new companies, new startups that are actually spread throughout all the vertical that can be analyzed in this market map. So, like I say, gaming, even the stores that are used to discover application, they will be evolved to support the metaverse. So this is a really good and useful map to understand which company is investing in the metaverse and which company will be supporting it in the future. We, in Huawei, already talked about it, so as you can imagine, and we created and defined what our own vision of metaverse. We actually created a word cyberverse, but it's actually the same thing. So we like to, at the moment, use the 3D glasses, but even to make the user perceive the reality, the virtual reality and augmented reality with their smartphone. And for instance, in China, the smartphone is used a lot for leisure and travel and touristic application. So like we mapped the 3D, we mapped a lot of environments close to the traveling location. So the user can use its own smartphone to have a 3D virtual guide that will give you information about, the site, the touristic site. But to be sure that the metaverse is used by a lot of persons, we need also to make sure that the developers will be a lot developing something. And so we need to also give developers tools to develop in the metaverse. That's the reason why we, for instance, create a 3D modeling kit in which you can, using your smartphone, scan an object and create a 3D model for it. And so you can use the 3D model in whatever application for virtual reality, metaverse, or augmented reality you want. And we are supporting and continuously supporting all the developers that want to join this kind of technology without removing all the complexity to understand the graphics problem behind it and to support all the bleeding edge technologies about the graphics development that is needed for creating this kind of application. And like I said, for instance, we created a 3D model kit. So in this sample, you can see like it's easy to create a 3D model of a shoe. Or we have our AR engine. It's the easy way, the trivial way to create augmented reality with a smartphone that is even supported. They will be supporting in the future even other kind of devices. You as a developer will be really happy to use like light estimation feature or to create real shadows from virtual 3D objects that are displayed from your smartphone. So this is a really interesting and easy way to create realistic augmented reality application. And another slide that I want to show, if you are interested to go inside this field, is like the slide about what is a full stack developer in the field of augmented and virtual reality technology, so in the metaverse. And the full stack is the one that knows about a lot of this framework. So from the low end, close to the machine, close to the hardware language by C, C++, but even other language, platforms like Amazon, Sumerian, Android, iOS, because nowadays that would be the platform. Nowadays the platform that I use it now, so HarmonyOS as well. To ground database, protocol, like I say, WebRTC, but even IPFS, API like that allows the developer to use augmented reality. So WebXR, like I said before, using Babylon.js or A-Frame, or even knowing specific SDK of the device, like Oculus SDK, or even other SDK like Vuforia, Wikitude, our SDK of AR for AR engine of the Huawei VR glasses. And the front end will be based on the same knowledge that maybe you have from web development. So like I said, A-Frame, or maybe mainly support. There is a massive growth of framework in JavaScript that are allowing the user and the developer to create virtual world just using this language. So this is really good to create an open web that will become the open metaverse. With this, it's all. I left my contact here, so my Twitter handle is Java, or you can write it also on the Huawei email. So I want to thank you for being with me across this exploration of the technologies that are the basic one for the metaverse, that will be for sure the basic one for the future to invest. And I think that I'm open for any question that you can have. Yeah. Thank you. Any question?
Thank you so much, Giovanni. That sounds amazing. Now I want to read the Snowgrass book.
Yeah, it's a really interesting book.
Yeah. So now we are on to our open discussion. If you have any questions to Giovanni, please write them on the chat or just open your mic and talk to us.
Yeah. Feel free to open your mic. Yeah. Maybe I scared you with all this, but I want to say something. If you are interested in a part,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, because you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Because in 2017, the 3D, three-dimension, this kind of devices came out, and all the market really focus on the technology about that. But nowadays, the metaverse, this kind of concepts came to our world. So what kind of values you think it can bring to us? Because I know that Tencent also announced that they have the whole world interconnected this kind of technologies for the world. But the meta, this kind of thing is just like a virtual world. So what's the values it can bring to our society?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part? What the value can bring to?
Yeah, what kind of value the virtual world of the meta can bring to our society? Because, for example, I couldn't understand one person who spent maybe $10 million to buy a NTF as their maybe profile picture. So I couldn't understand this kind of phenomenon. So can you explain somehow what kind of value it is? Yes.
Yeah, actually, I mean, we are in terms of opinion now. So even me, I don't like the NFT economy that is as it is now, but it's a really good way to understand what can be this in the future. About the value of it, I see this as an evolution of internet, as long as it's open and not closed by private companies like can be Meta, because it has to be open like the internet. Maybe this is the real opportunity, like using open frameworks, open definition, open standards to create something different. But the main value can be that it's an evolution of the internet. Nowadays, I like to say that we are already in some sort of metaverse, because if we are using the social, sometimes it's not the real world, the social, with all the problems that are inside the social, fake news, hate speech, we are already using something that is not the real world, and we are used to use that one every day. We are using to sell and buy things for marketplace reason. We are used every day to connect with people that are far from us, like we are using like Zoom at the moment, like to connect with others, to see my talk. I share my screen. In the future, we can be in a virtual room, so with a much more powerful way to interact, but not limited, because I think now it's the best way to see each other live. But if we are far away from each other, it's really difficult. And with the 2D screen, we cannot have the same interaction. Maybe in the future, the value will be that we will have the presence and we can interact better. So with the body language, with a sense of presence. So this is one value. And the thing is that many say that, okay, I'm against this, I'm against the vision of the metaverse. Yes, I'm okay as long as it's open. But I think we are already used to live in a virtual world. That is the world of the social, is the world of the internet. It's not the real one many times. Many pictures are like modified. The reality of the things is not always the same. And on top of this, we also will have the economy of it. So the people will be able to buy and sell digital assets. Nowadays, we have NFT. But this is maybe a really stupid way to think about the economy, like people selling image, But maybe one day we will be able to buy something that is digital, that will allow us to have some real experience. Maybe if you are buying this digital asset, you can access 10 days the stadium, or you can buy this with a discount in the real world. But maybe with this digital asset, you can use across all the worlds that are created. So something like, imagine I'm in the term of sci-fi now. If you buy your NFT of a cat, that is a software actually, you can maybe bring your cat across your video games, across your social, evolution of the social. So the freedom to actually have an object across all the software, because software we are talking also across all this virtual world, will be a value. The empowered way to communicate with people more and more. Like nowadays, even augmented reality is used, by the way, in a stupid way, maybe as a filter to communicate with people. Like if I want to put a mask, even Zoom, for instance, as a sample of AR with a filter. Whatever it's used to empower the communication and to enrich the communication, to make them more powerful as a value. Otherwise, we will still like talking each other with the phone, But we have Zoom now. We have video conferences application. I can share my screen. I can share call with you, where we have software to together work on the same piece of code. So it will be an evolution of it. It still need to be defined. Rules, goods and bad things on this. I don't think only one company should have the power of it, but it's more in the field of the opinion, in my opinion. We can discuss about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you have any idea about it, you can tell. We are just discussing. But I don't like the NFT nowadays, so I don't like this part. So, it's very, as you can imagine, it's not so.
Yes,
smart.
I can understand. I also couldn't understand why they spend so much money to buy NFT as a profile picture.
Yeah,
it's so stupid. Yeah,
it's an interesting way to see what the people are doing, but I hope that for the future it will become something really different.
yeah.
By the way, it's a technology, and the technology, it depends how it's used. You can use for the bad, you can use for the good, or for stupid, completely stupid things. And it is. Yeah. Any discussion if you want? Yeah, just open the mic. If you're interested, we can do some vertical talk about a specific technologies or a workshop in the future.
Yeah, that sounds interesting also. So there is no any more questions, I think.
Okay.
Nothing in the chat box.
Yeah,
so
okay.
We are really thankful about this. Thank you, Giovanni. And now I think we have the part of the register part of the Huawei Developers Online thing. So Xiao, I think the stage is yours and you will have some gifts also.
Yeah, wait a moment. Let me share my screen. Okay, at first I don't need to share the screen. Yeah, I just talk about that. Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, I'm the ambassador of the Huawei students, developer students. Yes, and today, now we have the gifts for everyone, and our gifts will be the markups. Yeah, over here you can see. Yes, and the notebook. Yes, it's really beautiful, and my T-shirt. Yes, I think you can see it really clear. Yeah, and this time we have a lot of gifts for the participants. So the gifts are different. And if you want to have the specific gifts, please contact us as fast as you can and inform us what you want. If you are lucky to get the gifts, please contact our ambassadors via Facebook, maybe via WhatsApp, and eventually via the WeChat. So any channels will be okay, and our ambassadors will give the gifts to you directly. And before the lucky spin, we have some lucky participants already because some of you are very active. And I think today we don't have so many active members. So, but if in future you are active, and we will give the participants, the active participants, the gifts at first, and then if you are also active and also lucky in the span, you will receive the double gifts. So it will be interesting. So I think you will be interested in it. Okay, let's begin the lucky span. Wait a moment, let me share my screen of the lucky span. Wait. Yes, I think everyone can see the lucky span now. And we will begin to find who will be the first participants, the lucky participants. Okay. Yeah, congratulations, Sarah. You are the first one. I will record your name and so that I can remember everyone over here. And please contact our ambassadors and what kind of gifts you want so that we can give it directly. Okay, let's choose the second one. Okay, student Wen Zhaoyang. Oh, you are so lucky. And we will give the gift to you. Maybe you are in Sweden. So I think maybe we can give the gift maybe send to you via some post or anything. And thanks for your participation. And let's see who will be the next one. Yeah, congratulations, Gayola. You are the third one. And please contact us as fast as you can. Yeah. And let's see who will be the fourth one. Yes, the 5.5 meter. Maybe my pronunciation is not so correct, but please correct me if you have a better pronunciation about your name. Yes. Okay. We can remove. Okay. Yeah, Jenny. Yes, thanks for your participation. Yeah, Miko. Okay, that's all the lucky spans participation. And please contact us as soon as possible, and we will give the gifts to you. And yes, now let's move to the survey part. Wait a moment. Let me see how to stop the sharing. Yes, let's very welcome Alex. Alex, are you here? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm here. Hi, everyone. I'm Alex, and I'm also ambassador of Huawei. And now it's time for the survey. So Robin, can you please share the screen? Yes, so now it's time for the survey for our activities, and it will help us to improve them, and we will get valuable feedback from you. So to access the survey, please scan the QR code that you can see on the left, and then you will see the screen as it is shown, join here, and then you can enter the login code. And after entering the code, you can access the survey. And if you have any difficulties, please feel free to open your mic and tell us, or put in a chat so we can help you. And let's take some 2 minutes so everyone can fill the survey, and then we can close it.
Yes, thank you, Alex.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So if you didn't see this, the survey link is on the chat also.
Yeah, I think now everyone can already
Yeah.
see the screen and did the survey already. So yeah.
Yeah, it's been a great night. Don't forget to sign up and register your Huawei ID. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and invite your friends as well. We will be hosting more these events in the future. Each will be great tech topics and also with the chance to win some great prizes. Thanks from all of us, and I hope to see you all again soon. Merry Christmas, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.